Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? I wanted to talk to you today about arcane spellcasters, wizards, magic users, whatever you want to call them, and kind of my evolution of the game and where I'm kind of thinking about that, about them at this point. I've talked about having two guiding principles at this point in my gaming, and something I want to DM is that I want it to be simple and rules light, and second of all, I want more stuff to be available to players because we don't have a lot of time, so I want to increase the rate of advancement, so to speak. So the obvious way to do this with spellcasters is to increase the number of spells available to them. A little bit more than you would think of as in like Dan and OD&D or BX D&D or even in like first edition. And I talked to a lot of people. I got a lot of great input. I'm not sure exactly how much I'm going to do, so I can't give you numbers, but they're going to have more spells available to them. They're a little bit faster rate of advancement. And if you have an intelligence bonus, very common. I'm going to use your intelligence bonus to give you extra spells. Based on like if you have +1, well, you get one extra first level spell, that sort of thing. I've talked about in the past allowing casters to cast minor magics, or what you would think of as cantrips. Based on what spells they've actually had memorized. So if you memorized Fireball, maybe you can, sprout flame from your fingertips, little things like that. And these are based entirely upon player creativity and DM discretion. So have fun with that sort of stuff. And then I'm not a huge spell point fan, but I found one on a OD&D forum, and I believe one of the creators of Swords and Wizardry was talking about it. And it's a really simple spell point system. So if you don't want to memorize the spells, you want to memorize different spells, or maybe more third level spells or whatever. There's a real simple system. There's 3 rules. Number 1, you can't cast spells or memorize spells higher than you can normally cast. Number 2, you can't cast more spells than you could possibly cast in a day. So if you can remember, so if you can cast 7 spells, you've got like 4 first level spells and 2 second level spells and 1 third level spell. That would be your normal spell ratio or allotment. You can only cast 7 spells. So if you want to memorize Magic Missile 7 times, great. You just wasted some spell points. Where do you get spell points? Real simple, real intuitive. A first level spell is worth 1 point. Second level spell is worth 2 points. Third level spell is worth 3 points. So you can't cast more spells or than you have points in a day. So that's why you can't cast more than 7 magic missiles in that example. Because I'm giving you all this stuff, and I've toyed around with spell failure in the past, you're gonna have a bit of a chance of failing spells every once in a while. And I'm a Smashing Pumpkins fan. Extra points to anybody can identify this song. Okay? Anyhow, so you're going to free cast spells instead of memorizing them. You get a base 5 or 10% chance to fail. I'm not really sure where I'm going, going 5 or 10, something like that. Plus 5% chance of failure per spell level. So say you've got a base 10% chance to fail, and you're going to free cast a second level spell. Well, you've got a 20% chance of failure. Not horrible, but you got a bit of a chance of failure. And this gets mitigated, by your intelligence modifier. So for every +1, you get a negative 5% chance of failure. So you can kind of, combat that. So if you're pretty intelligent, get a little bit less chance of failure. And the other thing I like to do, I've talked about this in the past, is I use that encumbrance system from Lamentations and the Flame Princess. And I'm not going to go into exactly what it is because I've talked about that in the past. But it pretty much has 6 spell slot, or 6 rather encumbrance slots. The more encumbered you are, it's based on how many items you're carrying, what kind of armor you have. Very simple, very intuitive. But, I like the idea that the more encumbered a wizard is, the more chance of failure he has. And the less encumbered he is, the less chance. And say he's pretty much just unencumbered, well, I'm going to give him a negative 10% chance of failure. And you can actually if you're carrying almost nothing, you can kind of get away with more stuff. Then you've got that for the second slot. Well, maybe it's 0. It doesn't do anything. But if you start to carry a little bit, now you've got a plus 10% chance of failure all the time. You're carrying a lot. You've got say a move rate of 9 or 6 rather. Now it's 30% chance of failure. And then so you can wear armor. Go ahead, but it's really going to screw you up. Then now you have a move rate of 3. Now you've got like a 60% chance of failure. And finally, if you're just dragging, you got a move rate of 1. You got 90% chance of failure. You're not casting spells. So yeah, I got to give them more stuff, a faster rate of advancement, but there are some chances of failing should you do stuff and carry too much or decide to free cast. I think free casting is great, but there should be some kind of penalty involved with it. And should you happen to one of the things about free casting too is now you can't get all those nifty minor magics because you're not memorizing spells. And the idea I really like, and I'm not sure what kind of number to use, is should you decide to memorize a spell and then say, I'm going to free cast something else, or I'm going to try to free cast something else, you should have a really big chance of failure. Maybe something really bad kind of happens because you've kind of tried to have your cake and eat it too. So I'm not going to be a jerk and say, no, you can't do that. Go ahead, try. But something bad might happen. So once again, that's a little complicated, but your Magic is complicated. I try to keep it as simple as possible, but I want to give people, let people have a little bit more fun with the game, because, like, once again, we're not going to be gaming like we used to. So let's have a little bit more fun with this and have a little more goodies.